Welcome, everybody, to Gush. What is Gush? Gush is the podcast that me and Slush have started.
It's more than an experience. Let me just say that.
Calling it a podcast is not enough. You're right. It is the Gush experience.
You ever just exploded with ideas? That's Gush.
Well, you're gonna. 2020
right now.
coming right at you.
Yeah.
This is Slush. You guys know Slush. And if you don't, welcome. Slush is a YouTuber friend of mine. We collaborated many times and we have great discussions all the time. So we figured let's start a podcast. And who is Technicals below me? Well, Technicals is another great YouTuber. He's actually an edgy commentary channel, I would say. He's kind of like iDubbbz if he wasn't cucky.
And black.
And black.
Black iDubbbz. Yeah.
And
not with your God.
Technicals, why don't you give us a brief kind of rundown of your channel, how you got there? Just give us the rundown.
How I got there? Oh, that's an interesting story.
Start with what your channel is and then tell us about how it came to be.
Yeah, so my channel is pretty much just like comedic critique commentary style videos, like akin to iDubbbz in like 2016 and H3H3. Those are like there's like three major influences. It's iDubbbz, H3H3, well, classic H3H3, and Pyrocynical, like current Pyrocynical, because I really like his editing style and it's very like in your face, but still kind of entertaining at the same time. Mm-hmm. And whoa, what is that? What the fuck is NOK? 50 NOK?
Oh, I see that. I don't know what that is. People make up currencies all the time and donate them. I don't know what
they can do that.
I think so. Yeah, you can. It's kind of like cyberspace, like in.
Oh, by the way, we're gonna read donations after like our discussion with Technical still. So if you have questions for any of us,
Sorry, it caught my eye. I just wanted to see the chat and then it caught my eye.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, so how I started originally, like I was just a Smash player, like everyone else. I wasn't bad at the game. I was like 11th in Vegas at the time. That's pretty good. Yeah, I would always have opinions about how to make the community better. But if you're not a top player, or if you don't have mad bitches, if you're not like a top commentator or something, no one cares about what you're saying. So everyone would just call me a whiny bitch. So I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm going to go find someone that does care. So I started the YouTube channel. And then I got like passionate about it after the whole stuff with JK happened, where he almost hit me and like 7 of my friends with a fucking car. I can find an article of it.
Whoa, I didn't even know about this, actually.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He purposely tried to hit you with the car?
Yes. He said so afterwards. Here's an article by Game Tyrant. There's some other ones, but yeah, just a quick rundown of what happened. He got banned after that, but then they let him back like after I think it was like 6 months. They let him back into the community.
Why did he try to do that?
Because he asked us. He asked me and my friends that came down from SoCal because I was housing them. I used to house a lot of people when they'd come down for events. And he was asking if they wanted to go get tacos with him. But since some of the people in our friend group didn't fucking like him, we were like, no. And then like he always does this when he wants money after a tournament to the TO desk. He's like,
okay,
hey, can I get my money? So we did that to him. We're like, no, JK, we don't want tacos.
Oh.
Yeah. And he was housing some people from Arizona. So when he got back in his car, he said, watch this. And then he did that. And when we confronted him later and asked him, did you try to hit us with your car? He said, absolutely. And at that point, my brother was like ready to beat his ass. But after that, like, it was a red car. That's all I remember. Now I have PTSD when I see red cars.
Was he wanted to like scare you, or like he's like trying to like injure you?
It was either trying to like scare us or injure us. Yeah, I don't know. He was also bipolar, so I can't really like get in his headspace, if that makes sense.
So that was kind of like your Kanye car crash moment where like your career just started right after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's where like the major drama started happening. And then,
Right.
And you did a video on that.
yeah. And like after I did a video kind of doing the comedic critiquing / roasting of him, because he tried to go to an event and they said, well, you can't compete in this event, but you can spectate. You can compete if you reach out to every person you almost hit with your car and see if it's okay with them and if they're comfortable with it. And I wasn't, and other people weren't. And he was entitled, and he was like, what the fuck? Why should people not even at the event like decide if I can play or not? This is bullshit. So I made fun of him for doing that. And after that, he had like a mental breakdown and shit. And I was like, okay, what the fuck? Like, you're asking for it. You're being an asshole.
And then he drove his car into the event, right?
Well, he actually attempted suicide with his mom's car, but it didn't work. And he got kicked out of his house for wrecking his mom's car. Then he was homeless, and then he tried to liquidate all of his stuff. And he got addicted to some heavy drug. I think it was like heroin.
I don't think this guy should be allowed around cars.
I don't think so either. Well, there was also the event with Keemstar was involved after he threatened to shoot some people in our region. But I think it was an empty threat because you can't afford a gun. So
that's
wow.
That sounds like help more than anything.
Yeah. Sounds like many years of therapy are required.
Yeah.
Damn. That is way darker than I was expecting that story to go.
Yeah.
That's my origin story.
I was trying to start on a light note, but we just straight to the fucking abyss. So I know you've covered a lot of other people. Like you talked about, obviously you have videos about Low Tier God, the infamous Low Tier God. Can you give us a brief rundown of that situation?
Well, I made my first video on him. Just like spur of the moment, it was a poll. I did a poll because at the time I was covering Lax Chris, this clickbaiter that was like, oh, new leak, 4chan, huge leak on every video, every thumbnail, huge leak. And in the poll, it was like, do you guys want me to do a video on Lax Chris, Low Tier God, or just make a random funny video like the hydro dipping a rat video that I did with the Pizza Hut one? And they voted for Low Tier God. So I was like, fuck it, we're doing a Low Tier God video. And after I did it, he reacted to it on his stream and he tried to roast me, and he like compared me to Mewtwo, and then he said that I didn't have a dad after he just said that he didn't have a dad. And I'm like, what kind of fucking roast is that? So I decided to do another follow-up, and that's where I launched my cinematic universe with like Moist Master and all my friends. I haven't been able to do more of those because of COVID, obviously, but
yeah, you have skit humor and stuff like kind of sprinkled throughout your videos.
Yeah.
What is your main? Do you have any inspirations for that, or like what are you kind of modeling those after, or is it just pretty kind of off the cuff?
I just thought it'd be fun, like just add in random wacky bullshit with my friends because it's. I wanted to have some original stuff beyond just talking about a subject because everyone talks about a subject. Yeah. Just add in some story.
Filthy Frank a little bit.
Yeah, just like doing the wacky stuff.
Yeah,
I think one of the videos where I tested myself the most, and it's why I plug it so often, is my Clown Commandments video, because I went out in public and was just like dressed as a clown. My lips were chapped as fuck because the paint on my face was super dry. It all dried, so I looked like a crack addict. And I would mess with black people. I'd be like, OJ Simpson, yeah, what's up? And they'd be like, nah, dude, nah. Or like I ate a McDouble off the ground and I like was like a rabid dog and threw it at some guy.
Yeah, I've seen your skits are fucking crazy, unhinged. Now the next thing I wanted to bring up was Thunder Gaming, because that was also like I feel like that was a big milestone or big moment for your channel when you called out Thunder Gaming. And I know now you guys are like, he's like cool with you now. He's like trying to host your boxing ring match, which we'll eventually get to. But
yeah, we need to go to an expensive lunch on him. That's in the near future.
Nice.
He lives in Vegas too, Glink, so I'll invite you. I won't tell him, but you can come last minute.
Okay. Yeah, I'll show up.
We'll pay for you too, don't worry.
Nice. I'm down.
He's got that Thunder Gaming money. But yeah, the reason that blew up was because I told Bishop, it was a perfect storm. It was just people feeling uneasy about Thunder Gaming. They were already suspicious, and they were being assholes over social media, because if they block someone on social media for a really dumb reason, they would also ban them from the venue. It's like, what? Why?
That sounds so
That's
stupid.
pretty stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did 5 days of researching finance terminology and going through, looking at the shareholders and I still have the folder of all the info and shit. And because it was such a intense amount of research, people just agreed with it immediately. But as we see in the interview that I did with Christian Bishop, there was some more knowledge that was left out from that. But I think
what you're saying is you fucked up.
Yeah.
It happens.
But the problem is more in their response as well, because Bishop went private on his Twitter account for 2 weeks, and then they also doxed me while threatening me over social media where I was blocked. So I was like,
Thunder Gaming doxed you?
Yeah. They like posted my full name and then like my zip code and shit like that.
Why?
In a cease and desist letter that I didn't even personally receive. Like, if you're gonna C&D someone, fucking send it to them. No one else needs to see this.
Wait, they were trying to cease and desist you for making a video about them, though?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a battle they wouldn't win.
And it wasn't even technically about them. It was pretty much all about Christian Bishop, but it was connected to them through Christian Bishop.
We need to get big YouTubers on your side next time something like that happens. Like, you need to get on H3H3's podcast. And then you have no one's going to touch you if you have that.
There was Memology. There was Upper Echelon Gamers. They helped me out a lot, I think, and then also the Score Esports. But after the interview, I was able to reach out to every single one of them and get them to unlist the videos. They were actually very cooperative, so I appreciate those guys.
Slush loves the Score Esports.
They're
the best.
All the way they steal my stuff.
You want to go over that? How they stole your shit?
To make a long story short, I don't want to go into it too much, but like, Score Esports like just super plagiarized one of my, at the time, most popular video. Like, and it's funny because like it was a topic that they had discussed before, but they like didn't draw any of the conclusions that I drew in my video. And then when they like ripped me off, they're like, they like used almost the same phrasing as me. They had the exact same conclusions. They revisited a topic that wasn't even relevant just because like, I guess they just needed something. I don't know. You know,
I don't know. Was your video hitting recommended or something, and someone there just
my video came out because my video was like it was about Summit 1G, like getting tired of Fortnite, deciding to do what he wants, to play what he wants on stream to make him happy, and then like coming upon Sea of Thieves and then making his way back to the top. And that happened at the end of 2018. My video came out in 2019, and it was like, you know, it did numbers. Like that year, it did like over 3 million views. So like it was good.
Pretty damn good. Yeah.
And then like 2 months ago, they like when Summit was at the top for Valorant, I guess they were like, oh, well, we need to talk about Summit. Like, you know, he's like the most popular streamer right now. And they just talked about how he like hated Fortnite and quit Fortnite and started playing Sea of Thieves and became at the top of that. And then like very loosely transitioned that to Valorant. And it
like
was
years later after the thing that you covered.
Yeah. And then like it was like super obvious and blatant. So I got pissed off. And all the comments were saying like, this is a Slush video. You guys ripped off Slush. And then I like decided to look into them more. And then I discovered that like so I had a documentary on Dr. Disrespect, and then they put one out like 8 months later. And they used a clip in their documentary that I used in my documentary. But that clip, and they credited me too. They said like this clip came from Slush. That clip had nothing to do with Dr. Respect. It was like I literally typed in like Disney World 1980s and just used a random clip because I was talking about like the 80s, and they used that clip, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, how long have they been like watching my channel and shit?
Yeah, they're keeping
imagine how many other people they're doing that to.
I think a lot, probably.
Yeah,
but I knew at least one other person who, when I posted my video saying like talking about this. Another person came up to me and was like, yo, they did the same thing to me like last year. Here's my documentary. Here's their version. And then this other guy, CZ's World, who does like horror movie YouTube stuff. He like commented and ended up doing his own video, like talking about how Screen Rant stole like one of his videos. And this is just like a rampant problem. The like corporate channels and content do this shit.
It's like there's a Me Too movement forming out of people stealing content from YouTubers, though. Like it's big corporate channels taking what is more original content and then broadcasting it to their larger audiences in a more simplistic form, basically.
It's pretty ridiculous.
I think that transitions pretty well into the debate that's going on between YouTubers and Twitch streamers.
It does.
Yeah.
I want to get to that. We're going to get to that. But
Okay.
I think we still need to talk about the elephant in the room.
Well, there's two things, right?
What is
you gotta
that?
talk about community, you gotta talk about edgy humor.
Yeah. Well, edgy humor, that's coming.
It's pretty
here. That's in your face. How can you ignore that? We're embodying it. What are you talking about?
Have we passed? I think we've passed the 10-minute mark as well.
Yeah,
I think we said
let's reveal our true selves now. Yeah. Since the YouTube algorithm is the YouTube algorithm stopped paying.
They'll never know we're swearing now.
I see what you did there, Technicals. Trying to pull a streamer move there. Classic streamer move. Let me just bend over my chair. Pick up my gloves. We got.
What is this, the just chatting section we're in right now?
Yeah, I think so. What I wanted to bring up was Esam. Now, who is Esam? You might be asking in the stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, who is Esam? Esam, I'm going to show this real quick. Is the guy on the right of this picture? He's so repulsive that Technicals basically just had a throw up in his mouth type situation
for 23 minutes.
You got to check out Technicals' video on Esam because he's basically the biggest hypocrite in Smash Brothers community, and when it comes to this kind of, I don't even know what the right word is, like virtue signaling, sort of shaming for super anti-racist seeming guy, even though his past.
He's a top player of Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate. I think he was around in Melee and Brawl as well. He's a top player, big voice representative of the Smash community. And, he's definitely like a very big voice in terms of like, I guess like he's a virtue signaler, but like I don't want to like discount like people who are trying to put out a good message, but like it's different with him specifically because of his past and his inability to recognize that other people could be like he once was.
To break it down more specifically, from what I saw and the time frame that I saw them in, ever since he was 15 to 22 years old, he participated in the kind of humor or edgy humor that someone like me does frequently. And he tries to, shit on the people that do the same thing that he did for like half a decade or over half a decade. And it's like, how do you not remember that you did any of this stuff and you don't give anyone else the benefit of the doubt when you still have a platform because other people didn't shit on you the same way you're shitting on other people? And that to me is hypocritical, and people can't see how it's like, oh, he said all this shit when he was a teenager and a young adult, but he changed, so he should be allowed to criticize people for that. It's like, no, that's the same reason H3H3 got shit for calling PewDiePie out for saying the N-word when he was saying nigger faggot when iDubbbz was on his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, you're not the person to be talking on it because you've done the same fucking thing at the same age.
And now this video is demonetized forever and our channels are banned. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think that you point out in your video that like is really annoying about what Esam does is that he doesn't believe in cancel culture, but at the same time he will like pinpoint specific people he finds problematic and like sick his fan base on them and like essentially cancel them when they are just doing the same thing that he was doing. And then he'll act like surprised when they turn out
people have done this.
Yeah.
I'm going to read.
It's innocent. How could you guys do it?
I'm going to read a post heavily featured in Technicals' video from Esam on the Smash boards in 2012. Now, if you guys aren't aware,
maybe show it on the screen so you don't look like you're just saying racist things.
I'm showing it on the screen. Yes, I'm showing it.
Iconic.
In fact, maybe I won't even read it out loud because you're right. That could be taken.
I can read it. I'm black.
Okay.
Yeah. You want me to read it?
It is on. Okay, if you have it open, I also have it on stream.
Okay. But you aren't black, so it isn't racist. If you were black, you would be a watermelon-loving, fried chicken-eating, grape juice drinking blank who can't drive or swim. But you aren't, so smiley face. There's the quote.
So riveting stuff from Esam. But I think your point with the video, and I don't necessarily want to like spoil too much if people haven't seen it because it's actually really funny. But one of your points in the video that I think you were telling me how people overlook this, some people, is that you're not even necessarily calling him out to be like, oh, you're such a bad person for saying all this, in 2012, or you're horribly racist. But it's you can't hold people to this really high standard and then expect them to have a perfect record when your own, it's just straight up hypocrisy, and it's not understanding other people.
Yeah, and I even say at the beginning of the video, people think I'm joking, but I say at the beginning, I'm here to protect you from your fans, because I know that these people that don't understand context and will take any shred of someone being like racist, transphobic, or whatever, and they'll hold it against them for the rest of their life. I'm not doing that. I'm saying you're a fucking hypocrite because you've done this, and you can't be empathetic towards people that have been in the same situation as you. So how am I supposed to believe that you're, this super nice guy that's just, trying to change the world and, just wants everyone to be a better person when you have this experience and can't even pull from that when talking to other people? It just makes you look like a fucking sociopath.
It just makes it seem like he's saying everything he does for clout and for like looking good in terms of his brand.
He's just saying that because opinion.
Yeah, exactly. What I think is like, see, there's like, let's look at Leffen, for example. Leffen, so huge smasher. And when all this Smash drama started happening, drama is probably not the best word, but the point is that when all these things started happening in the Smash community, Leffen kind of became like a voice of like, I don't know, morality or whatever. But I felt like when Leffen was doing it, it wasn't preachy, and he did not spend his entire career building like this image of doing. In fact, if anything, he has embraced the fact that he used to be really bad, and everybody knows it, and it was never hidden. So like
he even said, "Do not idolize me." All you guys saying Stan Leffen, do not do that. Like, I'm not a perfect human being. Like he consistently is on that. He's like, don't idolize me. I'm not perfect, but here's like my stance on it.
Exactly.
He's like, I'm a pro. Just because I'm a pro player doesn't mean I'm like pro at life.
Right?
Yeah.
And on the flip side of things as well, we shouldn't neglect to mention that, again, this is all kind of predicated on the fact that Esam, especially recently, but I'm sure for a while, has just been consistently calling other people out, like trying to shame other people, shame certain types of behavior. Again, super. It would be one thing if he was just, doing his own thing and genuine. Yeah, it's very disingenuous. It's very fake, and it's almost like, I even put this comment on Technicals' video, and we've talked about this, but there's this phenomenon, I think, that happens amongst these sort of woke circles of super anti-racist, super anti-misogynist, anti anything that like is considered somewhat discriminatory or rude and all that. Certain types of people who are very outspoken actually have the most to hide. They're like the most, like, I don't consider myself very edgy. And even at my most edgy of times in my teenage years, I never would have typed posts like that on a forum. I just like, and nowadays some people might consider some of my jokes or whatever like problematic, but I've actually been consistent. Like I don't have this dark past of saying edgy shit, and then now I'm like completely on the reverse. So there's this phenomenon where, and Esam's the perfect example of this, where there's the people who are the most outspoken actually tend to be the most kind of like hypocritical and the most, they just have the most to hide, I guess.
Yeah, like people that are so against pedophilia, but they get outed for like
exactly like, I say, like children. We saw like in the Smash community, a lot of people like ended up, being like sexual abusers or like in some cases literally pedophiles, and these people were like the most outspoken against it. Like it's one of them, Sleepy K from the Melee community, was like, I think he was one of the, and I've met him before, and he seemed like a really nice guy when I met him. I think he was one of the people who put together like the Smash like committee of conduct or whatever it was called. Like I can't remember
the code of conduct.
Yeah, like he like put together like the group of people that were like upholding that. and it's like he was one of the ones who was actually like sleeping with a 14-year-old or something like that.
There was another panelist on there. It was U2 Queen, and she like sexually
yeah.
abused one of her friends. She was on the panel of Code of Conduct too.
Yeah, like look at that.
I don't trust.
It's crazy.
I don't trust any code of conduct panels or like teams that enforce these kinds of councils, like the Twitch Council. These things seem to almost always be led and run by, number one, people who just want a lot of power, and two, I don't think people who just don't have the best intentions, and people who, again, like it's the same thing. It's if you're someone who's so interested in creating a council that's specifically trying to stamp out these problematic types of behaviors, okay? I kind of question that in itself. It's like, well, hold on a second. What are you trying to hide? Like, why are you trying to make this council? Why are you trying to be in the position of power?
Yeah, exactly.
And we've seen that with Twitch too. That's the other one that comes to mind is the like council, or I don't even know what's happening with that.
That's
that was
Stephanie,
different, I think.
the Stephanie character that was like power tripping, eating grass and eating weed.
So the difference there is I feel like Twitch chose the people themselves. Like, it wasn't like just people like coming up on their own being like, let's form something. It was like Twitch is like, oh, I want to like diversify, and for some reason we're going to pick someone who's saying a bunch of stupid shit.
Maybe, but also you got to think that those people who are in those positions have some sort of connections with Twitch staff. I don't think they're just like, oh, hey, you who I don't even know, I'm going to email you. You want to join our team? Like they have some sort of established rapport between Twitch staff, I'm sure. But
I suppose so, yeah.
I know your point though. Yeah, like when it's self-appointed, it's
so much worse.
Yeah.
I always think that people who are searching for power are like the worst people to have it.
Yeah.
Which is like in almost all cases, the people who have power are the ones who are looking for it.
Since we're on the topic of people that are against shit, so like extremists, but they also have stuff in their past, I linked an article in the server, which is the 15-year-old Bochi that we all witch hunted out of the community and bullied until they just basically deleted their social media. Is a 15-year-old in a private Discord server saying edgy jokes with the N-word.
Oh my God.
She had articles, actual articles, Kotaku, Daily Dot, all this stuff made about her because she said this in private. And people want to take the shit out of context, obviously, from the private conversation and then apply it to the public when that's not what the context was for. And then be secondhand offended for it so they can, justify attacking someone.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people talking about like, I've seen on my Twitter feed, people will say like, edgy jokes and private conversations are not okay. And like, I just completely disagree with that. It's like, if you're talking to like your small group of friends and you know that they know that you're like, you said, say you make like a joke that's like edgy because it's like a racial joke, but you know that they know that you are not racist. You don't mean anything racist, and you're just playing on the stereotype, or you're just playing on actual racist, or whatever it is. Like, it's fine because everyone understands.
In a way, I feel like it's dunking on the racist. Like when I make a edgy joke, I'm making it because I think what I'm saying is stupid, and that's why it's funny. Like it's funny that I'd say that because the idea, the concept itself is dumb, and I don't feel like people understand that. They're not laughing because they support what's being said. They're laughing because of the ridiculousness of the statement, like how exaggerated or extreme or out there and random it is.
Yeah,
that's the point of dark humor.
Like I think like you could make an argument that like when you're doing it on like in a public setting, like you're bound to, if you're popular enough, you're bound to run into people who are laughing at it and enjoying it for like the wrong reasons, like they actually are racist and they think you're being serious.
Yeah,
but in a private conversation, like
that's a good point. That is a distinction, because it's like, yeah, because intention matters, right? With anything you're saying, and there is definitely a problem in public where you're absolutely right. You could say something, and no matter how you intended it, certain things are just going to push certain buttons or come off a certain way to people who don't know you. Yeah, that's true. And I think like, especially with racial humor, that's true. But I will say that's true. Yeah. I will say though, that one thing regarding this kind of edgy humor conversation that I feel like, I don't know, I think maybe had to step back in certain ways, because I always look to things like even just TV shows and popular stuff from 10, 15 years ago. Like take the Chappelle show. Chappelle show is the best example. One of, in my opinion, the best comedians of our time, Dave Chappelle, created one of the best sketch comedies I've ever seen or ever made, probably. And most of it, or a lot of it, was like racial humor, but it wasn't, I wouldn't even say it was racist. It was just like making fun of everybody. And
he dunked on everyone.
And everybody laughing isn't like laughing because they're racist. They're laughing because they're laughing at themselves. They're laughing at other people. And it kind of, it normalized racial humor in like the best way possible, to the point where we were all just, I don't know. I felt like it was more, what's the word? It was more okay to just joke about things, and people weren't offended, especially during that time. This is like early 2000s and stuff. But nowadays,
also makes it easier to discuss it. Like when you're not afraid to talk about, it's not so taboo. You can talk about it more openly and not feel like you're walking on fucking eggshells with every sentence that you say.
Yeah, and the comedy is like, you know, I feel like people forget that comedy is a way for us to like reflect on things and discuss things and process things. You know, like I've noticed personally that it seems like, I don't watch TV much, but it seems like there's no more comedy movies. Maybe I'm crazy.
No,
I'm just not seeing
right.
them. I think that like the state of the world is actually declining in some degree because their comedy is dying and people can't joke and people can't process through comedy and humor. And it's like just unbalanced everything.
It's a lot more divided. I feel like tensions are high with everything. You see something, you're immediately like, are they on my side or are they against me?
Yeah, exactly.
Just fucking consume the media. Why you have to make it a fucking battle every time?
So true.
Another issue with the lack of comedy, or the lack of like middle ground of us just laughing at maybe both sides, is that now there actually is, like, nowadays when I see what I would consider racial humor online, especially, it is more likely to be like, let's say on a Discord server, right? Like some popular Discord server, it is actually more likely to come off as genuinely like racist or hateful. But I think part of the problem is because like it's almost two extremes, right? Like on one hand, any kind of joke about anything involving race is completely unacceptable. And then I think that almost pushes people to more extremes, or like it pushes people to, they're like, oh no, this is how you joke about racial humor. The complete opposite, where you're just, you know what I mean? Like where it's more extreme on the other end, almost to compensate for the fact that we don't have as much, not just racial humor, but, you know, any kind of like just satire comedy that's a more of a middle ground. It's the same thing politically, where it's like, okay, anybody who's slightly conservative is a Nazi, and that's just and that's who they are, and they're all a racist Nazis. And it's like, okay, well, maybe they're not, but when you just label them that way, people, I think it actually,
Well, the thing that I see is it's more frequently segregated humor. Like, oh, you don't fit into this specific category, so you can't make this specific joke. Or it's like, oh, you're black. Oh, I can laugh at the joke that you made. Oh, I'm not black, but can I retweet this thing that I found that was funny? Like, just, you found it funny, fucking retweet it. What do you mean? Was it morally correct that I laughed there? My skin color's different. I just had to check. Like, what? Did you find it funny or not? What the fuck?
Yeah, things have become overcomplicated.
Which is why I'm actually so glad that your channel exists, though, Technicals, because you're kind of, I feel like you're a breath of fresh air, that you do have, you're not afraid to say what you think and what you feel and what you find funny. And you're also not someone who's like doing it for, you're not doing it for like some sort of political agenda or out of like some hateful, spiteful place. Like, you're someone who's genuinely coming off as just having a good time and trying to just make, you know, entertaining videos at the end of the day.
With well thought out arguments.
Shit's funny to me. Like, I laugh at it.
I think your shit is hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's also bringing to light some, through comedy, I think, some truths and some topics that people are just afraid to, like, do you think anybody else would make that Esam video in that way, for example? You know, maybe not. Like, maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable calling him out or reading those things. And even though, you know, it's
well, because then they'd be a hypocrite too. I'm probably one of the few people that's not a hypocrite, because I like, some people would call me a hypocrite in the comments section. They're like, dude, 2 minutes into your video, you called us all retarded. How are you going to call Esam out for saying slurs? It's like, well, because I say slurs.
right.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm not calling him out for saying slurs. I'm calling him out for calling other people out for using slurs.
Yeah.
Like, that would, if I all of a sudden next week started saying, hey, you can't say that, you shouldn't have a sponsorship because you said the N-word, people would be like, what the fuck? Didn't you make a whole video about the N-word and how it's cool? And like,
How it's cool.
yeah, and like context and intent and all that shit, that would make me a hypocrite. But for some reason, when Esam was 22, you know, him doing all that shit, he's not a hypocrite because he got away with it long enough. Like, oh, dude, it's been long enough. So accountability, gone, dude. All gone.
Yeah.
You're fucking cleansed. Oh, you donated to Black Lives Matter? Here's your N-word pass, buddy. You say it better than most. Shit.
Right.
Can we just acknowledge that I personally at least believe this, that if South Park was going right now throughout this whole quarantine, that I literally think the state of affairs would have been different. Like, everything just would have been different because they would have diffused tensions, because they would have made fun of both extremes, and it would have, and I think life would be better right now.
South Park's great because I can laugh at myself too. Like, you take yourself less seriously. It's not always just attacking the people you disagree with. It also shows you that, hey, maybe you should chill the fuck out. And,
Yeah,
and that's what's so great about it. You just enjoy it.
Yeah, they made fun of everybody at the same time.
Yeah, you and me were talking about how well, I was theorizing, what if it's possible that part of the reason things are so, tensions are so high, just politically or otherwise right now. Like, I mean, you're right. It could be because of a lack of good comedy, and South Park was one of those shows, I think, that really.
I think it's more relevant now than ever as a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait for their new season. It's going to be fucking insane.
Speaking of South Park and new seasons and shows, that sounds to me like a great content idea. We should all watch and react to TV shows, and then upload videos on YouTube as highlight videos. And get just,
South Park.
Nice bridge.
Right. So what I'm referring to is I'm kind of being a little bit tongue in cheek, but we're talking about this. It's kind of another tension point that's rising to a boil between YouTubers and Twitch streamers, where I think the point for me, just to bring it like in a simplified version, the problem I have is when Twitch streamers, so they spend a lot of Twitch streamers, they spend a good amount of their streams watching content, reacting to content, especially the popular ones. And, you know, I don't necessarily have a problem with that intrinsically or whatever. I mean, they could do what they want. I do think, though, that there is some issues that arises when, for example, they're reacting to a YouTube video in full, and then they're uploading their reaction. Like, they're making money, they're getting views, they're getting subs while they're watching it on stream live. Okay, that's one thing. And then they upload the reaction to YouTube, to a channel that's dedicated to all reaction-based videos. And at the end of the day, they're competing directly on YouTube with a video that they didn't make, they didn't contribute to, and their reaction is just using that other person's video for views, basically.
And they're often bigger in name than the YouTuber they're watching. So their audience on that reaction video can instantly be higher than the video itself and get algorithmically ranked above the original video, which is pretty annoying.
Now, real quick, to lay out like the full picture here, because the other way of viewing it, of course, is that, well, they're a big Twitch channel, they're a big YouTube channel with these reactions that get a lot of views, more views than the original video, but the original video is getting paid back through exposure, which there's something to be said about for sure. So it's not a super clear-cut thing, but Technicals, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say in Slush's case, where he made the Recful video and then there was a reaction from the person who's the subject matter of the video, that is more like, that's like a treat. If I make a video about someone and they react to it in full and post that, I love that shit. That's what other people want to see. When it's someone that's completely irrelevant to it, and then they post their reaction, and then it's competing with your views, it kind of just pisses you off because it's like, hey, buddy.
A random channel that all they do is upload other streamers reacting. Like, when I made the Reckful video, I had like 2 different channels. I think one of them was nice enough to actually like ask me for permission or whatever, and I told them no. But one of them like uploaded the video and then refused to take it down. And then I was like, all right, I guess I'm copy striking this person because like I just spent 9 months making this video. Obviously, I'm not letting this guy upload an hour and a half video to his channel. Yeah. And then he started emailing me, spamming me with emails about how I'm entitled and like I'm an idiot for not like letting him upload the reaction and all this stuff. And it was like so stupid and it pissed me off. But when Reckful reacted to it, his editor asked me if they could upload the reaction to his channel. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Of course.
Yeah.
It's Reckful, man. Like the video was about him. Like,
yeah.
People just assume that all copy strikes are just morally wrong, but it's like, I fucking hate reaction content in general, but there's exceptions to the rule, obviously. Like some people do it better than others. I think Critical is a good example. When he reacts to stuff, his commentary actually adds to the value of what he's watching. Other people, they're just like, haha.
Yeah, or they're just eating.
Yeah, they're just fucking like eating through the whole thing.
There's a few Twitch streamers who I think are pretty good about like stopping and adding thoughts. Critical is really good at it usually. Asmongold is pretty good at it. And Mizkif is pretty good at it. I don't know like everyone who does it, but like I've noticed at least those guys will stop, add their like input, or at least in the case where I've seen them react to my videos. I don't know how they are with other videos, but like, you know, they're knowledgeable enough on the subject themselves that they can add something that I didn't say. And like, I think that's cool.
It's probably, it's funny that you mentioned those guys because they also happen to be past or I guess current YouTubers as well, which probably is why they're able to stop. As a YouTuber, when you're making videos, and Technicals knows this because this is like, a lot of his content is like this. When your format of videos, like you're going to be watching clips, you're going to be responding to it, like making an argument, making your own points from it. That's like an actual analysis and like response to either a video or whatever kind of content you're responding to. And I think that's why someone like Asmongold or Mizkif or Critical are better at doing it versus like, not to call him out, but like XQC, I don't think he's ever made a YouTube video like that before. And so his commentary is like a little bit more like, just like hanging out, and that's whatever. I mean, it's just his style, but you can see like where the mentality comes from. One of them is more for an analysis point of view, and one of them is more for kind of just entertainment or enjoyment or, you know,
killing time or whatever. I also think that a lot of people, some Twitch streamers, like you're saying, and probably a lot of the viewers on Twitch, like they just don't get the work that goes into YouTube videos. Like obviously there are YouTube channels that, you know, their content is like brain dead and it takes like a day to make and it's like not hard work and they're only doing it like once a week or something. Fine. That's one thing. Yeah, Leafy's pretty fucking brain dead.
He's still doing CSGO Surf. He's still doing it.
In 2020.
In 2020, he said, fuck it. He's doing it.
Statement. No, but there's so many people who just don't they don't understand. Because on Twitter, like the last couple of days, this is a discussion that's been blowing up, and someone was trying to like call me out on Twitter, being like, "Oh, like XQC, like your Reckful video is like an hour and a half long. XQC streams for like 12 times that every day," and it's like, you do realize
I saw that.
the video took me more than an hour and a half to make. Like,
oh my god,
I don't think they understand that. It's like. And I've noticed there was quite a few people who were like saying stuff like that, where it's like, it's not the length of the content that matters. It's like the time and energy that went into making it. It's like a movie is an hour and a half, but it could take like 2 years to make.
Like my output. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say my output could be really good. Like I could just fucking record audio files and talk over gameplay like everyone else and upload shit every other fucking day. It's not hard. But I try to like provide quality, and when I upload, I want it to be something that people are excited for. I don't want to just fucking, here's your brain popcorn for the hour. And then
exactly.
Off.
Yeah. So I want to show the stream real quick, an example of what we're like a very direct example. So this is the search results for the parasocial problem with live streaming, which is obviously my last video that I made.
Yeah.
Now, up until recent, actually, right now, my video is at the top, thankfully, but and actually, it just passed in views the other 2 reactions. But for a long time, it was so Asmongold and XQC both have reaction videos to it, and they both have. XQC's has 200K views, Asmongold's has 305K views. My video has 350K views, and it's still growing. But at first, when I put out my video, it had like under 100,000 views in maybe the first couple days or something. And Asmongold had like 200,000 views. XQC had like 150,000 views. And so in the short term, at least for me, it's definitely true that these types of reaction videos were doing way better than mine using my own content. I mean, my video was 27 minutes. And so it's 27 minutes of my video in either of these reactions. And in XQC's case, his whole video is basically just my video. And then Asmongold has his is like double the time because he pauses and reacts. But
yeah,
you know, and I was like, this sucks. It feels so defeating when you see that as someone in my position and in Slush's position who
and a text position.
Yeah, and a technical's position who we actually put in. We're not just cranking these videos out every day, you know, generally speaking. Like we're actually writing scripts, we're doing research, we're gathering clips, we're editing. Like I spent around 2 months on this video, and that's like pretty typical for me. And I had to contact a bunch of people, conduct interviews, all this stuff. And then you see a reaction video. It's like, okay, this just did way better than my video. And all they did is react. You know, it feels very shitty. But I could also see, and this is kind of where I come to terms with it, which is in the long term, though, I'm losing views and losing revenue on that video in the short term. But in the long term, there is something to be said about the fact that, well, my name is more out there. You know, these big people with big audiences are talking about me, are saying my video is good, or their viewers are watching it. So it's a little bit tricky with regards to that, but you could see where there's some dispute to be had. But I did want to shift things over a little bit to talking about another divide that I've seen, which is kind of what you guys were just referring to, where there seems to be, like, there's that Hassan clip, for example, where he's talking about, well, why don't we just watch it, actually?
Yeah.
Why don't we just watch it?
Are you going to stream it?
Yeah, I'll show it on stream. Let me see. Is it in the Discord? Let me see if I can find it.
How do we do this? Because like your stream has a delay, obviously.
We're gonna have to just click it and watch it at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
Does somebody have a link to it? Actually, I thought we had.
Yeah, I do. Hold on, I got it.
Okay. I'll just do a good old 3, 2, 1, go, I guess.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna open the page first before you say.
Oh yeah, Nick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could just look at it on Twitter too.
All right, just let me know when.
Okay, let me start at 0. Full screening it. All right.
I'm just seeing a picture of Tech and Esam.
I'm good whenever.
2, 1, go.
This is the most frustrating thing because I'm a fucking React Andy myself. Like, I get so mad at this when YouTubers literally fucking sit around, okay, and they make one fucking video. They make one fucking video a month and get like Patreon money, or they make like 2 fucking videos a week max, okay? And then they cash out with like a 6-figure check because they have a sea of simps. And then they turn around and shit on streamers who literally fucking go live for 6 to 8 hours every day. Like, that's nuts, dude. Of course there's gonna be dead space in between, you stupid fuck. This shit genuinely tilts me, dude. It genuinely tilts me. You could make a compilation of me sitting around, not even on camera, with a fucking video playing in the background. You could, when you're live for 13 hours a fucking day, of course there's gonna be fucking dead space in between, dead air in between. It's so dumb.
Okay, can I say something really quick?
Yes.
Yeah. What I like about this clip is how he goes from 6 hours a day to 13 hours a day. Like magically, it doubled by the end of the clip. 13 hours a day. Of course. You stream for 13 hours a day. All right.
Yeah.
I feel like Hassan is a smart guy who says dumb shit because like it just seems like the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like he's talking about something he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. He's saying like, oh yeah, YouTubers, they're just like so lazy. They make one video a month and they have like 1 million patrons paying them. It's like, bro, it's like not even close to that for the vast majority of YouTubers. Like, yeah, sure. Maybe there are YouTubers who are at the top who are like, they're not putting out that much anymore, you know, and they have like a huge fan base and they're killing it financially. But like, dude, it's not the case like that for most of us, including people who have like 1 million subscribers. It's not even the case like that for so many of them. Like, there's just no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, and that's not to say, like, of course, there's, you know, it's not to say that either platform is just super easy to make it on. Like, obviously, to establish an audience on either YouTube or Twitch, it's pretty damn difficult. And I would even actually, I would go as far as to say that establishing an audience through YouTube is easier than through Twitch. But Twitch is way, way easier to make money off of and way quicker than YouTube. I mean, Technicals, you were saying, and I've experienced this too, where I'll do like a stream where I stream for like 2 hours, and I've streamed for 2 hours and made $200 of super chats. That's more than I'll make in like with certain videos that I've spent dozens of hours on in some cases.
Yeah. Like my CPM is dog shit. So like with the video I just made that has 80,000 views, normally I would make probably around like over $100 on it if it is monetized. But since it's demonetized with limited ads, I think I've made $40 off of that. And then I streamed after doing that and made $300. So that's like more than I've made in my entire career of making fucking videos. just because of super chats.
Yeah, it's just
crazy.
Streaming is just so much more profitable in the short term, even though it's not. But you do need an audience to make money off of it. But so it's kind of a two-way thing. But
and it's really hard to stream. That's like, can't discount that. Like being a streamer and being like, especially if you're good and you're like you're on as an entertainer for like 6 hours straight. That's not easy to do.
It's a different skill though. It's a different skill.
Yeah, and there are people who are like just naturally good at it. You know, people like avoiding the puddle, or like Mango or something. Like they just have the personality type where they're just automatically funny and they could just chill and be funny. But like most people aren't like that.
I don't feel like I can do that for hours on end. Like a lot of my shit, I think of some of my jokes ahead of time, but then some of them will come in the spur of the moment. But like a lot, my content is calculated. A lot of it's very calculated. I have scripts. I write outlines, all this shit. It's not easy to just be funny 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
I also do think it's unfortunate that here's my sort of maybe unique perspective on this, is that unlike a lot of other YouTubers, the unfortunate part is I don't like Leafy's content, and I hate that he's popular, and I feel like he's almost undeservedly popular, because on a certain level, it's like, unfortunately in this case, yeah, you know, Leafy probably doesn't really put in that much effort, and he does get a ton of views, and he probably does make a good amount of money, or at least he used to. I don't know if he's monetized or what, but he has such a big audience.
He does stocks and shit. He's always talking about it.
But like, he's just not the trophy YouTuber this is why I hate the Pokimane shit. I mean, this is a whole nother discussion, but for example, Pokimane, I feel like Leafy made that video on Pokimane, 2 videos on her now, just because she's popular. She's sort of the face of girl streamers on Twitch. But really, is there that much substance there with Pokimane? Like, does Pokimane really deserve to have 2 videos made about her? She's just this popular girl streamer. She's not even like a thought streamer or she's not even like a very exploitive streamer or whatever these negative attributes that might be valid criticisms of actual thought, camera girl type streamers, which are plentiful on Twitch. But just because Pokimane's popular, I think she's getting a lot of flack. And Leafy puts minimal effort into making videos. I think he has editors or some shit. And he just makes horrible videos. It's the worst quality standard. I almost feel like from the YouTuber perspective, to counter like something Hassan is saying, or that kind of sentiment on our end of things, it's almost like, yeah, but we also shouldn't maybe be praising Leafy as like this shining example of great YouTube content, because he's fucking not.
he's still making shit videos. I see some people in the comments like, oh, he's gotten so much better. Like, no, you fucking idiot. It's still fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he has never been a good mascot for like YouTubers in any way. Like the best thing he had going for him was that like he's kind of savage and can be funny sometimes, which is like now I can see why people feel like he's a breath of fresh air because we've gotten so censored over time. So like, it feels like, well, like wow, I kind of
it's funny by default almost.
Yeah,
like
kind of.
You're like one of the
it's
few
like,
people
this
doing
guy's
it.
balls to say it or whatever. So people like it.
On the topic of him covering Pokemon, I feel like if he was going to do something along what he actually covered, like the main points he was covering, it should have been thematic for like Twitch in general instead of just like hardcore punching at Pokemon, because I feel like Pokemon is almost like she's a victim of circumstances. Like everyone's doing that shit over on Twitch. I don't feel like Pokemon is the only one that deserves
it. Not specific to her. I think that like she gets like I know I'm seeing that there's a lot of videos about her. I haven't actually watched any of them, but I know that like she got a lot of shit for copy striking people who criticize her, and I think that's pretty bullshit. I don't like that.
That's fair.
And she used to be a thought streamer, so I know why people are like still are hung up on that kind of. I get that because there was a time when she was like, you know, just like trying to like do whatever the girl streamers do.
Oopsie. I feel like they should just pull off the fucking Band-Aid and just make it its own section of just thought streaming.
But then they would lose advertisers.
Yeah.
They would also probably still. I mean, they should really make a separate.
They wouldn't be family friendly anymore because it's like right now they let it happen, but they're against it in their terms of service. They say no, we don't. Yeah, exactly. And they have like excuses for why their rules are inconsistently applied, but it's like bullshit. They just don't. They're in a great position where they make more money off of turning a blind eye because these people attract other people.
Speaking of attracting other people, Technicals, what percentage of your viewers do you think are watching you? Because this is something I've noticed with myself. Sam, maybe this is something you have going on too. There's a certain percentage of viewers who I feel like maybe they're homosexual and they're watching me. You know what I mean, though? Like, I almost feel like a slight version of a girl streamer sometimes. Not a girl streamer, but like, where it's like, wait, are you watching me because you like...
You have simps, is what you're trying to say.
I don't know if I do, but it's like that idea, that kind of dynamic, I think does exist for male.
You are fairly attractive, Glink.
Yeah, and
you too. I think we all are here. That's not a question.
Whip out the guitar, Slush. It's time.
But do you know what? Like, do you see comments and like messages from people? Because sometimes I get DMs or like messages from people where it's like kind of suggestive or flirtatious, and it's like a guy, and I'm like, well, I'm not.
Some people are like, I don't know. I've had to actively do this because my brother has brought it up before. He's like, you take off your shirt way too many times. And like most of the time I've taken off my shirt, it's to cover myself in barbecue sauce or peanut butter. and I'm like, I don't want to do it over a t-shirt. So of course I'm going to take off my shirt. But like, because I have a high metabolism, I still have kind of my fit from high school where I have like, just fucking rib cage and like a 6-pack working there. And some people really bring it up.
When you were in that at the end of the Esam video, I was like, damn. I didn't.
Yeah, I was admiring a little bit. I noticed. I was like, oh, that's kind of muscular.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like taking off my shirt, because I was never the kind to want to flex or something. I would wear like long sleeve shirts and stuff because I don't want to be a fucking tool.
Damn, dude, where are my Sims? I the only comment I've ever had that's even close was someone once commented on my first video, wow, you have a really sexy voice.
I told you have a good narrative voice. You and Glink. That's a good thing to have.
In that video, I did a New York accent for like half the video. So
he was just really into New York accents. That viewer.
I was really into Donkey at the time, and I think it was my first video. I just kind of emulated him a little bit.
I have my own with the detective persona. I do like a little New Yorker accent.
I've actually done a New Yorker accent too. What's with that? What is with all of us copying New Yorker accents?
We're fetishizing New York.
Creator.
Yeah, it's like a rite of
passage.
From New
York, or you're imitating New York.
It's a rite of passage. Everyone, you need to compare and contrast how good New York accents are. at a certain point.
If you're not good at it, you're gonna have to spend like a few weeks in the Bronx.
Yeah.
You want to be a good YouTuber, don't you?
Which right
What's
now,
that one chick? That
like
one
a
chick that
war zone.
got popular because she has like a New Yorker
Oh,
accent.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah, the Gengar girl or whatever.
yeah. Her.
She was like,
Go
I was
on.
gonna say that she got popular, and within like 10 minutes, she was like canceled.
Yeah. That was so stupid.
You gotta love the internet. You gotta love the internet.
But she's actually still popular now, at least on Twitter. Like she gets thousands of likes, and good for her. But it's just
dude,
funny.
Nico Lowell got sponsored by 100 Thieves.
Yep.
It's insane what you can do off of that popularity. Like you just gotta go for it.
It's insane what you could do. It's just a ton of blush and like Bernie shirts. No, but she's funny. Yeah.
How you counteract that? Like you've never seen anyone cancel technicals. I mean, you just have to not give a fuck at all and not be in a position where
kind of been learning that from like kind of both of you, I guess.
Yeah, just don't give a fuck. What are they gonna do? Everyone assumes their opinion matters. Just no, fuck you. Your opinion doesn't matter. You're no one to me. Go away. And they're gone. They all block me and I don't see it, so it's whatever.
That's one thing I'll say about Leafy that's positive for me. Despite the fact that I hate his videos, I think his bottom tier content, I don't even think he's that entertaining at all. But I will say and I don't even like the way he tweets or whatever, but to that point, it's very clear that he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a fuck. Like somebody the other day had this like this like multiple tweet thread, like trying to cancel him, showing screenshots of Leafy's tweets from like last week or like the other day when he's saying just like, all kind like whatever, the F word and the N word. Like, dude, what are you trying? You're trying to cancel somebody who's literally tweeting every day that thing just to be like, I don't give a shit. Like, you realize this doesn't work, right?
The magic of it is he's built his audience off of doing that.
Yeah.
So no one's going to be like, oh, fuck Leafy. They're like, oh, hell yeah. He's doing it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to cancel someone when their audience is going to continue to support them for the reason you're trying to cancel them.
Exactly. That's how you counteract it. From day one, I've been doing the shit that I've been doing, so it wouldn't affect me in the late game. You have to play the early game.
Yeah, that's something. That's definitely something I think about a little bit when I'm tweeting or something. It's like sometimes I think, well, do I want to tweet this? Do I want to say this? But then it's almost on the other hand, well, if I'm afraid to say this, if I'm afraid to tweet this, then it's not going to get any better later on down the line. I'm going to get more nervous when I have more of an audience, more viewers. It's like I might as well just make it clear where I stand. You could follow me or not, or you could fuck off. I don't really care, but I'm going to say how I feel. I think there's you want to balance, obviously, because you don't want to always be just saying everything you think. Sometimes I maybe falter in that, but
I think it's super important in this like modern climate. Like for a while, like when I was, I would say up until like maybe 6 months ago or something, like I was trying to just be like as safe as possible with my Twitter, and like I don't even have like controversial opinions really. I'm like a pretty like centrist person. Like I'm very in the middle of things, but I felt like like it was a bad idea to share even like very like hey, like let's not forget about the other side too opinions. And now I'm just like, fuck that. Like,
no, you get fucked for that. You get fucked for being like, hey, let's consider both opinions. What the fuck did you say?
Yeah. Yep.
But now I'm doing it because I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I don't care if I get blocked. I've seen people. I've actually like recently encountered an account where like someone like tweeted something and like, or someone like that I follow was responding to a tweet, and like the person had blocked me and I had no idea who the hell they were. They just had like a bunch of like political things in their bio, and I was just like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
it's
I'm probably doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, now that we're talking about Twitter, just to say something else, it's also I've come to the conclusion recently that Twitter is basically just where the crazy people get successful for the most part. Not everyone, but like craziness is rewarded through Twitter. Yeah. And I think that's why people, not even like politically extreme people, but PewDiePie, for example, or Lemon more recently, and others as well, it's very common for people to like need to take breaks or just get off of Twitter for their own mental health. Yeah. And I think
I think the character limit promotes knee-jerk reactions. because you don't have this platform where you can give a well thought out response. You have to either pick a side or be ready to defend yourself in a lengthy thread after making a very vague statement.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people aren't willing to do because it's too many people that are just ignorant and they want to jump the gun way too quickly. Which is why I stopped having
nuanced.
Yeah, I stopped having major opinions, and I'll say what I said and then just troll whoever's being a dumbass in my replies because I don't care.
Which is one reason why I like doing this and I want to continue doing this podcast, because these kinds of discussions are just straight up not possible on Twitter, and not even really possible even when I'm making videos. Like, obviously it's up to me how nuanced I want to go, how many things I want to mention. But even then you have to consider, well, I can't, even though this is something I could talk about for an hour, I'm not going to make people sit there and watch an hour long thing about it, right? Like, you have to condense ideas down, even in a video. Granted, I think you can do that in a way better way than Twitter, obviously. But, something like this is just, we're having a conversation. You might say something wrong, or you say something that you mistakenly forgot, and you could correct it right now. It's all in context, in other words, complete context. One thing I was going to bring up, actually, because I'm working on a video where I mentioned this, and I was wondering if you guys agree with this. Do you guys think that because of, let's say, a little bit of a fall from grace that iDubbbz experienced after coming out and talking about his position on sex work, coming out as a simp, with his girlfriend, whatever, a lot of fans viewed, whether you think that's right or wrong, a lot of his fans were disappointed in that. I feel like that is what paved the way for Leafy to make a comeback. I mean, directly it did, because Leafy's first comeback video was about that. I think it's like iDubbbz was this respected figure. His respect dropped, and then people are like, oh wait, let's bring back Leafy, because they kind of canceled each other out a little bit.
Yeah, he was like,
it's almost an invitation.
Yeah.
As a fan, I did make a video covering this as well with my whole opinion, but as a fan of iDubbbz, I think the thing that most people should have been upset about was the structure of his arguments in that video, because they were very weak. Like, he was doing a lot of ad hominem, a lot of false equivalence type of shit, and I was like, what the fuck? These points don't make any sense. Like, believe what you want to believe. Like, that's fine. I disagree with you, but it's fine. The arguments are just shit. Like, he's trying to attack people that disagree with him when normally he could have made a very rational argument for why he thinks what he does. Just be like, oh, I think this. If you don't, that's fine. But, this is just me.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, the arguments were shit.
It was very overlooked. People didn't even, people were too caught up in, the fact that they disagree.
Simp!
Yeah, exactly. No more Mr. Nice Simp.
Yeah. I thought he could have done a pretty good spin on it, on all the hate that he was getting, and made a funny meme, maybe make his own OnlyFans. But instead he took it very defensively.
Yeah, and it's uncharacteristic of him, because he's his reputation is built on well thought out logical arguments to prove his points while being funny.
Yeah,
I think that's why everyone likes him.
Speaking of online sex work technicals, you had your own run-in with someone who I thought that was more absurd than anything else in the Esam situation. Can you I want you to describe it, because that was so insane to me.
Well, I threw that in the video because Sleepy Kokiri, the sex worker who had a problem with me, is Esam's fiance. So it's very relevant to put in an Esam vid. Someone was like, hey, everything was cool, but this seemed irrelevant. Like, what? I can't fucking defend myself in my own video. He's like, find a time and a place. A time and a place. This is my channel, and I uploaded it. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. But so this guy, Dark Wizzy, he was making a list of all the people that need to be banned from all spaces and shit in the Smash community. God. And he put me at, he had pedophiles, rapists, sex offenders, and then me at the very bottom. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do? And it was my sketch in 2018 for my Detective Tech Esam video, where I buy Sleepy Kokiri's Patreon content. I blur it out so she doesn't DMCA the video or whatever. And then I pretend to jerk off to it with 5 tissue rolls and fucking lotion on my desk.
Her content is lewd pictures, by the way.
She sells lewd pictures of her ass and her tits and all that shit. And I did that. Honestly, okay, I can agree that maybe it wasn't in the best taste and maybe it wasn't that funny of a joke. That's fair. But to put me on a list with fucking sex offenders and say that I like, you know, sexually harassed her, and then people would use the example of being
calling it sexual violence, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. He called it. He initially called it sexual violence before I called him a fucking idiot. And then he put a disclaimer on it saying, oh, this still counts. And they'll compare it to sexual harassment in the workplace. But in the workplace, people aren't taking pictures of their ass and their tits. So I think that's a little bit different context when your major revenue stream is from people that are sexually attracted to you. And that's what you're selling. You're selling sex. You're selling your body as kind of a product.
I mean, that is very clearly the intention of a Patreon or an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Obviously, the person knows that, you know, the vast majority of guys buying that are doing exactly what your sketch, you know, was highlighting.
Yeah. It's joking at the fact that people do that to the content. I wasn't coming out as saying, oh, some people thought I was like admitting that I jerk off to her through the sketch. And I'm like, no, you're a fucking idiot. That's not what I was doing. It was
Didn't she even like, and you showed in your video, like she even says like previously, like some person asks her like, oh, like, are you okay with people jerking off to your pictures? And she's like, well, I'm selling lewd pictures. Of course I am.
Yeah. So
it's like
even explicitly.
They were specifically asking if she was offended. And she says, I'm not shocked because I sell lewd pictures. And that comes up in my Thirst video, Thirst in the Smash community video. I pull that up because I was looking at her Curious Cat. So she knew that beforehand. So I just doubled down on the joke, and I took her profile pic and wrote "Not Sleepy Kokiri" because and then the jar. Yeah. And I've been playing Battle for Bikini Bottom because I want to do a game review on that. So I just use that music with a bubble transition, and then the jar gets filled with lotion, and then I fucking throw it at my wall.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Go hard. That was funny. I remember laughing at that a lot. Just that like the whole thing with like your roommates like trying to pull you away. You're like, it's right there, man.
It's right there. and then one of my roommates that like is in the room across from me comes out. Her name's Michelle.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, it's right there. I told her. I keep telling her, you're famous. You're famous. This video has 80,000 views. You're famous now. But yeah, I think it was funny to double down because like she's trying to be offended because they don't like me. So they want to find something to kind of spin and be like, oh, well, he's a sexual threat. And I'm like, no, I'm not a sexual threat. First off, I have a girlfriend I've been with for over 3 years. Second off, I've been very clear that I don't like you. Like, why would I approach you sexually? You're not even on my fucking top 10.
Yeah.
That's the problem with certain lists, I think, is that, you know, the problem with lists is even if all it takes is one person who doesn't deserve to be on the list for the whole thing to not only be somewhat discredited, but also just be dishonest in its portrayal. Like, you're on a list with all these people who did do actually bad and, you know, horrible things, but because
verifiably.
And because you're on the list, there's two ways of looking at it. One, oh my God, Technicals is this horrible fucking sexual assaultist, which is completely false and dishonest and like everything wrong with that. And then the other way to look at it is, wait, Technicals didn't even do fucking anything. I bet these other guys didn't do anything.
Yeah, it just looks like a vendetta, and it very clearly was. Like, I was friends with this guy. We would talk over Twitter, and then eventually he just blocks me and just stops talking to me, and he became like a mini Esam, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess you don't want to hear my side.
There's mini Esams popping up everywhere. There's one by you, right, Slush?
Sort of. I mean, there's just a lot of people in the Smash community who like share the same sort of perspective as Esam, and like I think that there's the Smash community has this like tendency to like reward virtue signaling behavior. So it leads to people who are doing it just for the reward, you know, and not for the actual like earnest, like not because they actually care, but because they want to like look good in the eyes of, I don't know, the higher ups in the Smash community. And I definitely think that like Tech got on that list because the Smash community doesn't like Technicals because Technical goes against the grain.
They don't like wrong think.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're looked at as like a bad person because you make edgy jokes and because you call shit hypocrisy out. Whereas like the truth is that like none of the stuff you've done is actually like, I don't know everything you've ever done, but like none of the stuff that I've seen has ever like really
The truth
reflected
is,
on
you're a bad
your
person
morality.
for completely different reasons.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
You can say that I've harassed people.
I don't know.
You can say that I've harassed people, but from my perspective, I'm harassing harassers. So it's almost the same way that they're harassing me because I'm a harasser. So it's just a fucking cyclical pattern of people harassing, and they don't understand where I'm coming from. So ironically, they're harassing me for the same reason I'm harassing other people, because they're assholes.
Although
So if you're gonna,
your separation is that you're not like, again, you're not morally grandstanding or like trying to take this holier than thou kind of approach to it, though. You're just saying, hey, I'm talking shit, I'm having fun, I'm calling out this stuff, but I'm not saying that, you know, it's again, like, you're not being hypocritical in the sense that you're like, this is all wrong what you said, so how dare you call this person wrong? It's like, this is what you did, this is what's going on, this is fucking insanity. I mean, that's the way I view it.
yeah.
I want to bring up a tweet actually by Esam, which maybe is not like the worst insane take he's ever had, but let's analyze it here. I pulled it up on stream. So this is also something you addressed in your video, but I'm going to bring it up for the sake of the stream here. So this is a tweet by Esam on June 28th, 2020. He says, also, if you care more about the 2 to 4% of false accusations more than the 96 to 98% of victims whose trauma ruined their life forever and decide to use that as a reason you, quote, can't believe victims, you aren't helping. You are actively stifling victims from coming forward. What do you guys think about that argument?
Okay, so if you look at this, you can immediately deconstruct it from their own perspective. So there's this infatuation with minorities. They care about, like, you know, the people that are marginalized, and, you know, they're not the majority of the population. That's why they're called minorities. Right. So it doesn't happen as often as it might happen to other people, but it's still a huge issue. So why the fuck is it not a huge issue if there's a minority of people's lives being ruined? There's suicides from false allegations. You know, they go to jail for however long for false rape allegations, but they don't fucking matter because the number against them of things that are true is a lot bigger. Like, so their lives just don't matter now? Like, where's the consistency in the empathy? Where's the empathy for those people? You're going to pretend
really
like...
point.
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Underplaying the, like, what false accusations can do to people. Like, it's like saying, like, well, you know, it happens a little bit of the time, it's not important. That's pretty much what he's saying. But like you said, there was literally like a case like 2 weeks ago, I remember seeing on Twitter, where like some person who like owned the company was accused of rape and killed himself because no one will believe him. And it turned out to be not true.
Yeah. Wow. And I don't know. They're trying to justify that's the only thing they can do. They have to justify the damage that they're doing if they're going to make the argument that you should believe the majority, because they can't take a stance of neutrality, because somehow being neutral and understanding the position from a rational stance would be hurting the victim somehow, or the accuser. Like, as if asking for the bare minimum, okay, you're going to take this to social media and get a mob against this person, please prove that what you're saying is correct if you're not going to take it to a court of law. Like, right. I don't feel like that's asking for a lot. I feel like that's asking for the bare fucking minimum if you're going to ensue a mob on a person.
It is tricky, though, right? Because like a lot of like sexual abuse situations like don't come with evidence to prove things, you know?
Yeah.
When they actually happen.
One thing I want to say to kind of ride on Technicals' point here is that, you know, a lot of the times people talk about the power dynamic involved in a lot of these sexual assault stories, and how men in positions of power are using that power to, you know, get some sort of sexual favors or advancements onto these women, and they become victims in that scenario. And they know that's fair, but I also think you have to, and women will acknowledge this too, or the victims will acknowledge this too, there is great power and strength as well in making these accusations and these call outs. And that's why women are supporting each other, and victims are supporting each other. And, you know, when it's a truthful, legitimate, which a lot of them are, I will admit, it seems like a lot of them definitely are, that's great. It's great that you're using that power. But with that power, I know it's cliche, but there does come responsibility of like, well, now there needs to be some accountability for sure when that power is also being abused. In other words, there's great gravity. There's a lot of gravity in calling somebody a fucking rapist or a sexual assaultant or a pedophile or any number of these other labels. So you better make sure that your story holds up. You better make sure that you're not fucking lying, because if you are, that should be held accountable. That's an abuse of power. It's so easy to just write something and try to ruin somebody's career overnight off of some false narrative. Of course we should protect against that. That's why the narrative of believe all women is fucking retarded. I'll believe, I mean, I'm not saying that, like, again, I'm inclined to believe victims, but I'm not going to jump to conclusions. It's like, I sympathize with you, I understand you, but I'm not going to just blanketly take it as fact until there's a bigger story, right?
Yeah, and there's a responsibility on people with bigger platforms like Esam. Like, if you fuck that up, I basically had to beg him to make an apology for Esam and Foe. I would post about it constantly. I made videos saying Esam apologized that I would post to Twitter. And it takes him almost like a year and a half, 2 years later to give an apology to Foe, a year later to give an apology to MJG. And where does he post it? At the bottom of a thread that's about his apology for all the racist comments on the Smashboards post and stuff. He couldn't even make it its own fucking post. And in the same post where he's apologizing, he says, "I do not apologize for believing victims." The victims were Foe and MJG, you fuck. So it's complete. It's a non-apology at that point, just so he can save face and say, "Oh, well, I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep automatically believing whoever and waiting for fucking years to make an apology, because I don't really care who was right or wrong. I care about making that juicy post and saying, fuck that guy, he's a rapist, because it's really fun for me to do and I get a lot of follows out of doing it."
Yeah, we really need like the bigger voices in social media and in their respective communities to like normalize, not like sicking their fans on people or whatever, because that's still happening way too fucking often. And also like, holding themselves accountable and being like, yo, I got it wrong. These people like are good. And like, there needs to be something done about like the fact that when someone gets accused of being something and they're not that thing, like that label kind of like floats around forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like, I can relate this back to me, because people will say, "Oh, Technicals is a bad fucking person. He'll never admit when he's wrong." I've admitted I was wrong fucking twice in like the last month. I was wrong about one thing with FaZe Rug. FaZe Rug contacted me. We talked on Discord. I offered to take the video down. He said, "Nah, the video was all right. Get your bread, leave it up. It was fine. You took a lot of time doing it." But I released a video the next week, like fixing the false statement that I made. And then Christian Bishop reaches out to me out of nowhere. I get every video taken down that I could about him, take down my video, and upload a fucking hour and a half long analysis and interview of the facts of the story. So like, I care about misinformation. Like that, there's no fucking argument there.
But not enough people do.
Yeah, not enough people care that they said something false. That's like, if you're going to say something about someone, take accountability and take that shit down if you're fucking wrong immediately.
Mm.
Like, unless you're just an arrogant asshole.
There's also something to be said about, not to like, I'll just put it this way. A lot of this can also be viewed through sort of a journalistic or ethics in journalism type lens, especially when it comes to making YouTube videos or even making certain tweets and these kinds of things and accusations. It's worth, not for these sexual assault stories necessarily, but it's worth reaching out to people, like sometimes I have this idea of who someone is or what someone is. And maybe I want to make a statement about it or make a video about it. Especially if I'm making a video, like these days, I really either need to be doing my research really well, or sometimes even contact them or contact people close to them, or, try to actually, come from a place of understanding and reaching out, rather than, you see a lot of the times people just totally in their own bubbles, or at least be willing to make corrections. Like in your case, where you could have easily just been the type of person who's like, "No, fuck you, whatever. I don't even care. I made the video. It's just what it is, and I don't want to talk to you about it." And just but you're not. You don't have to be closed-minded about changing your statements or changing the kind of messages you put out there. And you also shouldn't be closed-minded about the narrative you want for a video. If new information comes by, oh, it turns out this guy is not an asshole. It turns out I was wrong about this. You can't just be like, all right, well, I'm just going to put up the video anyways, or I'm just going to fucking never make a mention of that again.
And I learned a lesson through like these two different instances. One with, well, I think I majorly learned it after Rug, is that even if they're huge and I assume that they're not going to talk to me, like it was fucking insane. Like he followed me and started DMing me after his stream. And I was like, what the fuck? FaZe Rug is in my DMs. What happened? Because the video was sub 2K views. And I was like, there's no fucking way this is the FaZe Rug talking to me. But yeah, he was like upset that I didn't reach out to him when I'm like, dude, you got to understand, you have millions of followers, millions of subscribers, like 15 million. I had no fucking idea he would respond to something like that. Yeah. But it gave me a new perspective that they care about the information being put out there and being spread. And I have a platform where people are going to start listening. So it's important to hit them up and at least try before making statements as, big as the one that I made in my video where it was about this homeless dude that he tried to help in 2017. But yeah, he immediately helped him after that. He met with the daughter that I was contacting. And, I thought my investigative journalism was pretty good, but she was feeding me a little bit of false information as well. So, what are you going to do?
It's funny that you say that, because I've had that same exact moment of realization where a few years ago, I was making a video on Casey Neistat. And I kind of, this is one reason why I've swayed away from making videos about specific people as much. But I was making a video about Casey Neistat, like kind of really just surface level criticisms. It was also more of like a documentary or like history of him or something like that. And anyways, I put out the video and one of my friends suggested to me before I finished it, why don't you follow him on Twitter and DM him just for like a chance to interview him or something to that regard. I think that's how it went down. And I followed him, I tweeted at him. That's what it was. I publicly tweeted at him. I'm like, hey, would you be down for an interview? As I'm about to finish the video, like I'm literally about to put it out, he messages me back and he's like, hey, I would be interested in doing this. And I'm like, wait, what? Like you have millions of followers. And I, at the time, had like, I don't know, maybe a few hundred. And it was jarring to me. I totally was like, I'm never going to be able to contact this guy. He's never going to see any of my messages. So why even try? But looking back, I kind of wish maybe I took my time more and maybe I could have interviewed him. Or at least maybe I could have gotten his perspective on something more. So you'll be surprised with how much of a reach YouTube videos can have. I think that's the great thing about videos, is that even if you're a small creator, the right message, the right video can actually reach so many people, and it can do very well.
Yep. That's why I respect the interviews that you do for your content. You do like a fuck ton of interviews and get a wider perspective of whatever you're talking about.
Yeah. You never know when like some big like personality or whatever is like, some of those people are checking all their messages and stuff like that. Like when I did my Newgrounds video, I decided to add on a way my message, the creator of Salad Fingers, who has like so many followers and stuff like that. And I was like, he's probably not going to respond, but I'm just going to message him anyway. And he did. And we did an interview. I never thought that would have happened, but like some people just, they're on top of their shit. And just like Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to boxing Esam.
Yes. So yeah, let's conclude the Esam saga. So what, can you give us a rundown of the whole,
how you're going to box him in the ring? What are you going to,
what is that? Who are you studying under to learn the right techniques to just punch him out instantly?
Christian Bishop actually offered to train with me, I think. And he said he wouldn't mind being on the undercard.
Nice.
And we tried, I think he tried to message Esam to, be in the event. And he told me that he was willing, if I could put a whole card together, he was willing to throw in $5,000 for the charity event. And Esam still declined. He still declined. And it wasn't going to be like a sanctioned event. It was going to be, we were going to have like comically large gloves and shit like that. I was going to try to get Low Tier God on the card as well. To possibly box Bishop.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm so pissed. My, I don't know if you guys, this is a slight aside, my gain was down the whole time because I was recording audio.
Get fucked.
So I don't know if my audio sounds super quiet compared to you guys, but
Sounded
I don't know if the
fine.
chat.
Sounded
brought
fine.
that up.
Okay. But what is the? Can you give us the context of the boxing ring situation, though? I know it's in your video, so everyone, if you haven't watched it, go watch Technicals' video. But give us the boxing ring.
Why it
Yeah.
spawned?
Yes.
Because I feel like it was just thematic for the video. Like he says, my favorite quote that he says is "nigga go boxing ring faggot." So I'm like, okay, I can twist that, and at the end I use it against him. I'm like, before you decline, Esam, remember, nigga go boxing ring faggot. And I honestly, I don't care about the money or anything. I just really, really want to box Esam because he's just been he's been an asshole personally to one of my friends that I know, which is Foe, and just I don't know. He has a very punchable face, so I feel like it'd be a fun event for everyone.
What adds to the just comedy of that, as you pointed out on your you did a live stream kind of talking about this, is that the clip as if Esam's comments on Smashboards and his past stuff wasn't bad enough in terms of him being hypocritical. The clip of him saying those words was on the stream, was talking to a black Smash player on stream. It's just the worst possible context. And
well, he's actually talking to Nairo, but Nairo's half black, I think.
Oh, I thought he was talking to Cat.
Oh, okay.
Nah. Yeah, the context is a little missing there.
But he's streaming. Cat is streaming, right?
Yeah.
And he's just eating food or something while Esam says that. It just sounds so funny. And then to someone who's not a Smash player, it sounds even funnier because it's what does that even mean? But in the context of Smash, he's talking about the stage boxing ring. So he's saying go boxing ring, as in pick boxing ring. But it just sounds hilarious out of context as what? What does that even mean?
It just sounds like a jumble of words. If you don't know the context, it makes no sense.
Can we have I've been drinking a lot. Can we have a quick bathroom break?
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah. Go for it, dude.
Shit.
That happens when you have a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just me and you, Slush. Can I call you? I can't call you the other name.
What, my name, Sam?
Yeah, I can't call you that, right?
I don't know. Do you want me to call you Greg?
Nobody on stream knows you as that.
People might think they might get confused with Esam. I'm IRL Sam, so
I was talking to you privately at one point about this Esam phenomenon, as I'll call it, because I mean, I was pointing out, Anthony Fantano, bald, kind of, what's the word? Virtue signally,
CUCK.
What was the other one?
A CUCK, the Anthony Fantano on Twitter sometimes. A little bit of a CUCK.
Yeah. There's other people too, though. I feel like we had a whole list at one point. We had a list of Esams. We're talking about lists. There was a list of Esams. There's somebody else too that fit under this bill.
I remember this.
They all have the same fucking haircut. They all say the same shit. I forgot who else it was.
Oh my god, there was another one aside from Esam and Anthony Fantano.
I know. Okay, we'll make the list.
Compile a tier list of bald
Esam
opinion people.
Yeah. Bald opinion people.
Yeah,
that'd be good. That'll be its own actual podcast episode, I think.
We'll just make a tier list. We'll just get every bald person in media.
Yeah.
And put them on a tier list of how virtue signaling they are.
I mean, I know of one more that we don't have to bring publicly, but somebody in a more local Smash scene that you brought to light, who totally fits the bill.
Not, I don't want to do any.
No.
This person doesn't deserve to be. Yeah.
No, they don't deserve to be Esam'd. So
they don't. They're. I mean, as far as I'm aware, they're certainly not as loud of a voice. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Man, Technicals is peeing a lot, isn't he?
Like I said, man, he's drinking that yellow juice.
I think he's drinking that gamer fuel. What is it called? The gamer? What are they? Is it called
G Fuel?
G Fuel, right? Do people still drink that?
Dude, how did people ever drink that in the first place? That shit is literally pre-workout. What? It's so weird to me that people drink pre-workout when they're gaming. Isn't that terrible for you? They must get your heart rate going way faster or something.
Gamers are sick people, sick addicts. They're crack fiends. Don't you have a story
sick
about that?
or like sick? Like sick or like sick?
Sick.
Okay.
Don't you have a story about that? You told me once about drinking gamer fuel, G Fuel, some sort of
Oh no. So like
gamer
I don't
juice.
it's not in my room anymore, but like last year I got contacted by this company that was like they wanted to sponsor me and they were doing their own like version of G Fuel. And I tried their product to see if I liked it. And within like 2 minutes, I was like instantly diarrhea. Like I
Whoa.
just had it
Speaking
was
of
so bad.
diarrhea,
Whoa.
back.
Nice.
I didn't know it was that bad. Okay. Do you
Dude,
drink
so-
gamer juice, technicals? Any kind of gamer fuel, G Fuel?
You're into gamers.
No, I drink a lot of like LaCroix, sparkling water, and juice.
Smart. Good. That's good.
Sparkling water's always good.
I forgot you're straight edge. So, of course, you wouldn't be drinking G Fuel.
Oh yeah, the whole straight edge.
Does that count, actually? I feel like that should count as not being straight edge if you drink that stuff. Like on the regular, some people...
Gamer fuel?
Yeah. G Fuel.
What the fuck does that do to you?
It's like...
literally...
Yeah, it's like hyper caffeine pre-workout, I think. I don't know. It depends on the formula, but most of them are pretty...
I don't know. Does drinking coffee make you not straight edge?
I don't know, because I do drink coffee,
I love coffee.
but it makes me shit, which is great.
Yeah, that's why else would you drink it?
And maybe that's why the thing that I drank made me shit too.
Mm.
Because it's like coffee.
Slush drinks shit, confirmed.
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt to respond to... We got a couple donations, if you guys don't mind.
Okay.
We're going to be wrapping up this. The podcast is over for all intents and purposes. Thank you for watching the first episode. This is going to be cut. We're going to grow and expand this show. And unlike H3H3, I'm not going to stop making videos. So this is just a bonus, okay? We're not giving up. We're not going to survive.
Like H3, I am going to stop making videos and becoming...
Thank you for having me.
Over time.
You know, yeah, technicals. I think we need to have you back on at some point too.
I might just do
got that.
Technical Tuesdays.
Technical Tuesdays, yeah.
Got that massive sub boost. Now I feel productive after playing Valorant for like
Hell
a week.
yeah.